Hey everyone, you're very welcome to our session today as we continue our journey into Lux Valor. Now with me, as well as the amazing Hannah, which I'm sure many of us already know, we have three of our incredible seminarians, three of our incredible young men who are journeying towards serving Jesus Christ as one of his priests. So before we begin, actually, I better introduce myself. Well, my name is Father Brendan. I'm one of the priests here at the Diocese of Northampton. I currently minister in glorious Milton Keynes, famous for its roundabouts and concrete cows. Everyone's laughing because that's basically all Milton Keynes is famous for, although it's amazingly packed with incredible people and I have a joy to serve them. And with me today, we have the incredible...
Okay, hi guys, my name is Deacon Liam. I'm in my sixth and final year at Oscott Seminary, and later this year I will hopefully be ordained a priest for the glorious Diocese of Northampton.
Wow.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chithu James. I'm a seminarian for the Diocese in Year 5, and I'm coming up to my diaconate ordination. So in the summer, please God, I'll be a deacon like Deacon Liam. So keep me in your prayers, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ollie Patton. I'm in my propedeutic year, so it's kind of like a foundation year, which I'm doing in Corby.
Ooh, Corby.
The most glamorous place.
Of course. And we also have the amazing interviewer.
Hi everyone, my name is Hannah and I'm back. So you probably saw me in Girl the Priest, which was really, really fun to do. And so we brought it back with Girl the Seminarian, which is what we're going to be doing today. So the first question is probably one of the biggest moral debates in like the whole of history and one of the most interesting questions ever to be asked. I'm very interested in everyone's answers. So, Deacon Liam, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what is it going to be and why?
Wow, this is the big moral debate. I think for me, if I could only ever eat one food, it would have to be pasta.
Like pasta on its own or with something?
It would probably have to be pasta with tomato sauce.
Nice.
Yeah, that's...
Oh.
Yeah. Hannah agrees. Hannah knows.
I was like, there's jubilation from Hannah there.
Yeah.
I have Italian blood, so I literally have
I
pasta in my
see.
veins.
Okay.
It's like so beautiful.
What about Jithy? What would be his favorite food for life? Remember, for life.
For life.
For life.
I like this particular food, but I don't think I'll be able to live off this for the whole of my life. So I like ice cream. But
oh, wow.
it's not very healthy, so I don't think I could live off that. But yeah, that's one of my favorite food.
Fantastic. What about Ollie?
Oh, it's...
What flavour though?
I do like strawberry or salted caramel or something like that.
That's posh.
It's that
It's posh. It's posh. Posh seminarians.
You could get one, a tub of it from, a cheap tub from Morrison or something like that, Father, I'm sure.
And Ollie, what about yourself?
Oh, it's probably got to be tarka dal, which is curried lentils.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Vegetarian?
Yeah, have it every day. Never get bored of that. Yeah.
And like, would it be spicy or not so?
Oh yeah, plenty spicy. Yeah.
I think I would die.
That's the honesty.
Okay, so we've all, like the three of you have answered that question quite beautifully. Hannah, I thought they answered it quite beautifully, especially since it's one of the greatest moral conundrums probably facing our generation about what is our favorite food, since it's like food is always a good thing. But there's also another question, perhaps not as kind of disputed as that first question, but the second question nonetheless is, now I'm going to reveal something to you, so please don't laugh if you're watching this at home, okay? I'm a bit of a Marvel fan, okay? I love Marvel, so I'm really excited when all those films come out. I'm a member of like Disney Plus, so I can watch all those films and stuff. But for our three incredible seminarians, what would be, or who would be, or basically, what superhero would you be and why? So Ollie, if you had a chance to be a superhero, who would you be and why?
Oh, it's probably got to be Iron Man because he
That's
just
a
has
good shout.
he has so many
Yeah.
cool things, and so just lots of toys, really cool big boy toys. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And a lot of
I always thought that like Iron Man could be a good kind of like, perhaps it was like a clerical style suit, but that would be good for us in the future, perhaps, you know, to kind of to go to different places, to have all those incredible things that Iron Man has. So like kind of like Priest Man, whatever. I don't know if that's a thing, but yeah.
And somehow we'd have excuses to blow stuff up. But
Of course, you know.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's like, yep. Okay, Deacon Liam. Okay, we've already had Iron Man from the Incredible Ollie, who was going to clericalize it, which is fantastic. So, Deacon Liam, who would you be and why?
I think I'd probably be Spider-Man.
Yes, good shout.
Nice, yeah.
Because I'm really quite afraid of spiders.
Oh,
So if I was Spider-Man, then I wouldn't be afraid of spiders.
this is valor. This is valor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the web. Like I think that could come in handy, not just as a superhero, but in my everyday life. Like wandering around.
Tell me more.
I think like in the supermarket, you wouldn't have to walk up and down. You could just like
True.
and take stuff off the shelves.
I suppose Deacon Liam in that case, like social distancing would be no problem because you could literally stay where you are and like, get everything from the shelf.
Yeah.
And you can get caramel ice cream from Morrison's with your web. You don't even
without
have to leave
leaving your house.
Yeah.
Living your best life.
Okay, so Jithy, we've already spoken about your ice cream. Like, so what type of superhero would you be, or who would you be even, and why?
I like Superman.
Good show. Okay, like that's traditional. That's good. Okay.
Yes, it's very classical.
Yeah,
but he's very strong and he flies around really fast. So he's like one of the toughest superheroes to beat. So I like that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good show. Okay.
Okay, so this might be linking. Well, some people might say this question links to the last question because I'm going to ask you what your Pope name is going to be. And you know, the Pope is a pretty big superhero. And so technically, if it's your Pope name, it could technically be a superhero name. Anyways, I'm very intrigued about what your Pope names are. So, Ollie, what's your Pope name?
Ooh, I reckon mine would be Jose Maria.
Good show.
One, it sounds cool, and he was a really cool Spanish saint who lived close to where I live. Yeah.
Wow.
And what about you, Jithy? So imagine, you know, all the cardinals have acclaimed you as supreme pontiff. They come up to say, like, will you be pope? You've said yes on the first go. You wouldn't even wait the third time. And they ask you, what will you now be called? And you say, I will be called
probably Paul, I think.
Paul.
Yeah.
Paul the Seventh, I suppose.
Paul the Seventh, yes.
7 is the whole, it's completeness or whatever. So I think Paul the Seventh.
Good name.
And I like the apostle. Paul.
You'd be like the evangelist then, yeah? You'd be like a missionary. Fantastic. Great name. Okay,
what
so
about you can be. Oh, sorry.
No,
you were like hyping yourself up for another big introduction as well.
Oh, no, don't worry, Hannah.
But...
don't worry.
No, I think you should do your introduction.
No.
Okay. Deacon Liam. So if you are, in the Vatican, staring out of the window, the Pope does his speeches out of, what name would you have?
I think I'd go for Pope Joseph.
Yes.
Yeah, I like Saint Joseph. I like the way he, we don't hear from him, but he's always there in the background.
Good.
Yeah, he's a saint that I've got a big devotion to. I have one of those statues that Bishop David has of the sleeping Saint Joseph.
Great.
So yeah, I think, and also his fatherly role, which is I think is so important. So yeah, I think that'd be the name that that I'd plump for in the end.
I mean,
That's so cool.
I mean, Hannah, I think we'd agree that like what's really incredible with the three names chosen are there three, like they're names based on people who were heroic. You know, so we had Saint Joseph, you know, who listened to God, who acted as an incredible foster father to Jesus. You know, kind of looked after Our Lady and Jesus throughout their lives, which is fantastic. So having that incredible bravery to do that at a time when it would have been really easy to have them thrown to the side. You know, and then likewise with, you know, Paul. I know you'd be Paul the Seventh, which would be like quite cool. But again, you know, an incredible saint who went to the ends of the world really to bring the message of Christ, which requires valor, you know. And then,
oh yeah, a lot of that.
do you know what I mean? And then Saint Josemaria Escriba, like that's incredible. I mean, that's another incredible person who reminded all of us that, you know, to be heroic, to be saints, isn't just something for the few, but for all of us. You know, it's a universal call. So incredible saints. You know, so yeah, that'd be. All I can say, guys, is I look forward to your pontificates. That's what I can say. Like, you are the future of the church, so we look forward to all those popes. So, so just before you become popes, you know, a kind of a Peter Seewald, you know, the kind of very famous German interviewer. So an equivalent comes up to you and says, you know, Your Eminences, because you'll be cardinals by then, I imagine. Your Eminences, we would like you to write an autobiography, but what will you call this autobiography? So Deacon Liam, imagine you have to give a kind of a title of some sorts. What would you call your autobiography?
Oh wow, that's a tough one. I think I'd probably go for something like From Bedford to Rome.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, From Bedford to Rome.
Yeah.
Journeys of a humble parish priest.
Yeah. That could be the subheading. That's
yeah. From humble curate to supreme pontiff.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, well, I can't wait to read that book. Jithy, what about your good self?
I don't know. I was thinking my life is like a roller coaster, so I don't know, something along that line. I'm not sure.
Life is a roller coaster. By Cardinal Jithy.
Hopefully that never happens, but yeah.
So we have From Bedford to Rome and My Life is a Roller Coaster, and then we finish with Ollie's.
Ooh, this is a hard one. Oh, that's really hard. I say Living in the Moment.
Good.
Ooh,
I like that. Yeah, it's
oh
good.
my gosh. Wow.
Again, these are 3 books I want to read.
I know.
We have your title, so.
But I mean, the rest is easier once you have your title.
Oh yeah.
Like, it could come out tomorrow. It's fine.
Wow. Like, quick guys, let's go.
Start writing it now.
I'm ready. Like, go to Waterstone. See those books there. I'm ready for it. So say if you weren't going to write the books and you in fact weren't even going to become priests, what job would you have? I'm quite intrigued. Deacon Liam, what job?
Okay, I think I was working in childcare. So I used to work looking after babies and toddlers. So I think I'd probably just carried on doing that. It was a job that I really enjoyed and that I really loved. But yeah, God called. So, but I think that would have been, yeah, I'd have probably carried on working in the nursery school.
Brilliant.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ollie?
Well, before I applied to the diocese, I worked as an English as a foreign language teacher, and I taught in a school in a place called Saragossa that's in the north of Spain. So I think I would probably do that because I did, I love teaching. I could do it the rest of my life, but I guess like Deacon Liam, like God's call came, and it was my first time in a Catholic school, so I hadn't been to a Catholic school as a child. So had the opportunity to teach in one, and it was just a great place to yeah, to be when you're, you know, thinking about this sort of vocation. So
That's awesome.
Jithu, what about you?
I haven't worked like Ollie or Liam, but I'm coming straight from school to seminary. But when I was younger, I wanted to be a pilot, which at the time sounded interesting, and you know, the prospect of flying a jet fighter pilot, you know, being a fighter pilot, shooting other planes down, and yeah, it's just yeah. That's what I wanted to do. I don't know. But then when I was in school, after I finished A-levels, I thought about doing a degree in maths. So I probably would have gone down that route somehow. Maybe teaching maths or something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Great.
Yeah.
So from potential fighter pilot to priest. I mean, that's fantastic. So like, so you'd have somebody who, you know, who works with young people, somebody who teaches, somebody who wants to shoot down other enemy planes. Great. And now all of us are united in that love of Christ and wanting to be a priest. Like, that's amazing. And I suppose it's a reminder really that, you know, actually God calls people from different walks of life. You know, Jithu, like yourself, I left school to go to seminary. So but then he calls people who've been at work for a little while, or people who have come from different backgrounds or whatever, which is one of the beauties, I think, of priesthood, is actually, you know, we're as strong as as each other, you know, because we bring that richness to it. So it's fantastic to hear that. Although I would have been quite amused to see Jithu as a fighter pilot. That would have been a really good thing to see. So I'd have been like, yes, RAF. Okay, now guys, obviously we know that in seminary, probably like Hannah, like with yourself now with studies, like it's just study. Now, all of us have to read loads of books. Okay, we have to look through texts and tomes and stuff. What I'm interested about, I know, do you know, that's what I thought. I thought seminary was going to be a breeze, but apparently you have to keep reading. So now, I love reading. In fact, I love reading so much so that when I undertook the Camino to Santiago, kind of a pilgrimage, I brought with me my favorite book, excluding the Bible, of course, but my favorite book, which was The Lord of the Rings. So throughout my journey, in my essential backpack, I had this massive tome of The Lord of the Rings, which I think I read one page once on that journey. I have read it previously. It's my favorite book. But
that's a heavy book to carry with you.
Yeah, it's a heavy book. It's a heavy book to carry, as I learned. So, but yeah, I wanted it with me. I thought I'd have loads of time to read. That didn't happen. But what I'm interested in is, what is your, excluding the Bible, what would be your favorite book, and perhaps like why? Like, is it something that speaks to you? Is it something that perhaps you can draw parallels to your own lives or whatever? So like perhaps Jithu, do you mind sharing? I'm picking on you, Jithu, because I see loads of books behind you. In your room in seminary, so you probably read all of them.
I don't read any of them.
No. Yes. Yeah. Disclaimer: like Jithu does read these books. So yeah. So if you had to choose a particular book, and that was your favorite, like what would it be? And I suppose why? Like why would it be your favorite?
It's a book called Edmund Campion, which is
nice.
Written by Evelyn Waugh, and it's about the life of the saint and martyr. And I like it. I like that book because it taught me how resilient he was. You know, even in the going to be a priest in a difficult time, coming back to England when he was persecuted and things like that. And also he has a link with our diocese too. So
yeah, good.
So that's a
wow.
That's a good reason to like him. So yeah.
And what about
That's
Deacon
so cool.
Liam?
I think one of my favorite books is probably The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, which is about a family moving across America during the 1920s to go and live in California. But I really like poetry.
Right.
So I have lots of books of poetry at home and some here in seminary as well. And yeah, so I spend a lot of time sort of reading different poems,
Right.
and sometimes even writing my own. And I just, yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from reading poems, and I find it quite relaxing and soothing as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I like to do.
And like, would you have a favorite poem, or?
I really like William Blake.
Yeah, good.
So he one of my favorite poems of his is one called The Tiger. And yeah, and he sort of wrote during the Industrial Revolution in England. He also wrote the hymn Jerusalem. So yeah, I'm a big fan of his.
Right.
I fully expect when your autobiography comes out that it should have a sufficient amount of poetry in it, because I'm really looking forward to reading your poetry one day.
Well, I'll have to keep writing, write some more.
And Ollie, what about yourself?
Oof. Actually, I've got to say, The Hobbit, because
Good shout, Tolkien fans.
yeah, I think it was one of the first books that I really read properly, and it was just a beautiful story. And I didn't realize at the time that that Tolkien was a very devout Catholic. I was told about his idea of the elven bread, that if any elves ate that, they would live forever. Based on the Eucharist. So yeah, it's just a beautiful story. So yeah, definitely the Hobbit. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the whole world of like Lord of the Rings, Tolkien is so beautiful. It's so well developed. I'm just in awe.
And Hannah, like, would you have a favorite book? Like, I know this is Will the Seminarians, but I'm interested actually, like, to see what your favorite book is.
I honestly don't think I have a favorite. Like, okay. I love so many for different reasons.
Yeah.
That's really all I can say, because I feel like I just have like a million different favorites. So, but I am also into poetry as well. So, yeah. And then, and also, sorry, when you have a thought and then it just like has a dead end and you're like, wait, I was going to move on from here to there, but it's not going. Anyways, I feel like questions like what's your favorite book and stuff, it really helps, especially young people, to see that priests aren't just like carbon copies of each other. Like, they didn't come out the womb spouting homilies when they were like 3 years old. As I thought that for like a very long time. I didn't know that kind of just anyone could go from being a normal teenager to being a priest. So this next question, it's also kind of along that tangent. So how would your teachers describe you at school? I feel like there's going to be very diverse and very interesting answers here. I'm very excited. Deacon Liam, would you like to expose yourself?
How did my teachers describe me at school? I think I can't remember any sort of school reports, like exactly what they'd said. I think I was quite quiet at school, and just sort of tended to get on with my work. I did struggle a bit. I remember, especially in sort of like the transitions between schools. And I remember that I was bullied at school sometimes. But I think, and I remember when I was going to apply for university, one of my teachers saying that I should sort of prepare that I may not get accepted because I wasn't, my grades weren't good enough. So I think it's that thing of like just almost proving your teachers wrong, like trying to like, well, no, I'm gonna get there in the end. So I think they probably saw me as quite resilient, maybe. And yeah, I think that's probably a good way of looking back on it.
Yeah. What about you, Jithu?
I was hardworking at school, but not always. So I did go through some phase where I was naughty and misbehaving and just being distracted. So I remember getting detentions and things like that too. But overall, I did work hard, and I remember that coming out in a couple of reports, really. So yeah.
Cool. And you, Ollie?
Well, I actually stumbled across recently one of my reports from year 5, just among some documents,
The
and I was
best report.
and yes, and how did my teacher describe me as Oliver has his own strong beliefs and opinions, but is tolerant by nature. So I thought that was quite an
Nice.
unusual thing to come out of the year 5 report. But yeah, I think in secondary school, I think I just about scraped by most of the subjects, but I did enjoy doing languages, and that's where that's what I took further. So yeah.
What about you, Father Brendan? I'm extremely curious.
Okay, so I was probably a massive geek at school. So like, yeah, like the teachers liked me. I used to get really like good marks, I suppose. Yeah, like I was that sort of sad child who loved studying, he loved reading, he loved. Yeah, I just loved, especially history and French. Absolutely love those subjects. So yeah, I was I was a bit geeky at school, I suppose. I'm trying not to speak too much because the other guys will probably laugh saying I was geeky in seminary as well. So like, I'm trying not to say too much because they're like, you haven't changed. So yeah, no, yeah, I really enjoyed school. Probably because I love learning. And there's one of those things that partly led me to the priesthood, really, that desire to pursue truth, beauty, and goodness, in whatever ways, and not leading, of course, that fullness in Christ and his church. So I suppose, but yeah, in terms of school, I was probably a bit geeky. I still am, really. So so yeah. So but leading from that question then is, we have 3 amazing people on their way to priesthood. We have Jithu, who's going to be ordained a deacon next year. We have Deacon Liam, who, please God, we need good holy priests like himself, will be ordained in literally a few weeks' time. I'm going to say a few weeks' time. I know it's a bit longer. We'll say a few weeks' time. It sounds more exciting, huh? So literally a few weeks' time. And then Oliver as well is literally going to be ordained priest, God willing, over the next few years. So we have 3 incredible young men who are giving their lives to Christ. But guys, imagine you only had a sort of like a 3-minute pitch, like a sort of an advert, okay? Would you be able to explain the reasons that led you to priesthood, to discerning, to hearing that call from God himself? Perhaps explaining where that courage came from, that valor to follow the will of God, which is very countercultural, especially in our own time. So perhaps, Deacon Liam, I'm going to start with you only because you're going to be ordained a priest in a few weeks' time. So I'm going to ask, what made you discern the priesthood, and like why do you want to be a priest, basically?
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me it all started when I was working in the nursery school. Well, that's when I first became conscious of God's call.
Right.
I think there were moments throughout my life, like when I was young and I'd go to mass with my mum, and I'd look at the priest celebrating mass, and I'd think, how does one become a priest? or how would I do that? And like Hannah said, I kind of thought that priests just grow out of the ground, they just appear. And then as I got older, the idea did cross my mind, but I always kind of dismissed it as I'm not holy enough to do that. I'm not someone who could ever be a priest. And then I was studying theology at university, and in my second year we got to go to the Holy Land, and that was just the most amazing experience, to see the places where the events in the scriptures actually took place. Just had a really profound effect on me, and I thought, oh, I really need to take my faith more seriously. And then the year after I graduated in 2010, Pope Benedict came, and I made the trip up for the beatification of John Henry Newman. And so there were all these events that were sort of happening that were kind of pushing me towards following God's call. But I only realized that now, looking back. And although I really enjoyed my time working in the nursery, there was a sense inside of there's something more. And I realized that I needed to at least explore what God was calling me to, because I realized that if I didn't, I'd end up regretting it forever. And I think God gave me that courage to sort of to tell my parents that this is what I want to do. And I was incredibly nervous because my dad isn't particularly religious. So I thought, like, he's going to cut me out of the will. He's going to get really angry. And he just said, yeah, that's absolutely fine. And they've been, all my friends and family have been so supportive. And I think the more time I've spent in prayer and in seminary, and I've come to realize that yes, this is definitely what God's calling me to, and that bringing people to know God, to know the faith more, to have that experience that I've had, is the greatest gift in the world. Yeah, and it just brings me so much joy. So yeah, that's it.
That's really beautiful.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Now, Ollie, what would be some of the reasons maybe you've discerned that, journey, that vocation towards priesthood in your life so far?
Well, it's something that I thought about, started to think about when I was actually in secondary school, and maybe a little bit earlier. So the subjects I chose were kind of like geared in that direction. But I think as like in my early 20s, I never really had the courage to really go for it. So I went into the workplace, worked in customer services, like mainly call centers. But I think when I was about, what was I? About 26, I really just got sick of customer services, and I decided to go to Spain, get my language level back up so I can go to uni as a mature student. When I was in Spain the first time round, I was working as like an intern in a school, and one Easter time, I was staying at a friend's house in another part of Spain, and I guess thoughts of the priesthood came back at that sort of time, through prayer and stuff. But I just never really had the courage to go for it. I mean, the idea of the idea of celibacy just really scared me. I just didn't think it was something I could do. And put simply, I woke up one morning and decided to play Bible roulette before I got up, and I ended up stopping on the parable where there's a neighbour who has a friend visit, and he asks, "Well, give me some bread." So I've got a guest over and says, "No, go away, man. My wife's in bed, kids are in bed. Go." And at the end of it, where it was saying that if your friend won't get up for your friendship, he'll get up if you keep persisting. And for me, that just hit me like a lorry, because I felt God was telling me, "Look, Ollie, if you don't do what I want you to do for our friendship, you will do if I keep badgering you." So, so that particular moment, so morning, I just like wake up with this just like strong call for the priesthood, but I didn't do anything about it. But anyway, fast forward about 4 or 5 years, I go to uni, come back, and I back to Spain, end up working at the same school where I was at as an intern. So they asked me to come back when I graduated. And let's say in the first few weeks of being there, I woke up again with this really strange feeling called to the priesthood. And I thought, okay, well, I don't really want to do anything with this because I've got plans. I want to settle down in Spain and just have a life here. On that particular day, did a couple of classes in the morning, and mass in the school was coming up at 1 o'clock. So I thought, okay, well, let's see what the readings are in English, so I make sure I understand them all. And the gospel reading for the day was that passage that I woke up to 7 years earlier. And I thought,
wow,
okay, you're having a laugh here, seriously. So anyway, anyway, I go off to mass, and it turns out it's a different feast day in Spain, and the readings were different. So I thought, okay, I wonder what the readings are actually today. And the gospel reading was, "Follow me and I'll make you fishers of men." And I thought, all right, okay, maybe there's something. So I don't really do anything about it for about 2 weeks. And then I'm in, and between classes, one day I'm in confession with a priest called Don Vincente. And then at the end of the confession, he asked me, "Ollie, is there anything else you want to confess?" And there's a pause, and I say, "Yeah, Father, I'm angry with God." He said, "Well, why are you angry with God?" "Well, I think he wants me to be a priest, and I really don't want to do it." Yeah. And but I think what actually made me actually go for it, take the step, was at the same time as working in school, I taught in a private language academy in the evening. And I just remember walking back from the academy one day. It's about 10:15 at night, so it was long days. And it was just the best day that I could have had. Just had a really good class. It was really buzzing. And I felt that I'd got where I wanted to be. I was in Spain, I had my own place. I pretty much achieved everything that I wanted from life. And I think it was at that moment that I just felt something was still lacking. There was just something just pulling. I thought, right, okay, I've got to apply for the priesthood. And that was it, basically.
Wow.
Thank you. That's amazing how, even if it's something that we kind of push away, that sense of calling, that sense of vocation is always in our hearts. So, or as you were saying, you even had to confess about being angry at God because, God was calling you to priesthood, and you said you didn't want to. So it's sort of like, when God calls us, when God gives us that vocation, I mean, we will find our true happiness when we respond to it. Yeah. It's that sort of thing. So say thank you. And, God willing, you will find that happiness in priesthood. So that's what I hope and pray. So thank you. So Jithi, last but by no means least, why would you want to become a priest? Oh, Jithi, I think you're muted actually.
Sorry.
Try that again. So Jithi, why would you want to be a priest?
It was around the age of 7 when I first thought about the priesthood. After being inspired by the stories my uncle was telling me, who was a priest, a missionary priest in Africa, where he was helping out the local people there, and he was running a seminary at that time there, and how the terrorists came and kind of took them hostages and things like that. So that kind of, I don't know, that kind of sort of heroics, as it were, of my uncle, doing good things in difficult times. That's when I thought about priesthood at first. And then I started to do role play after going mass and seeing what the priests do. So I started to do role plays and things. And this time I was learning the faith. So I was born into the Syro-Malabar Rite, and they're very keen on the catechesis and things. And my family was a very traditional practicing Catholic. So I had good support in terms of my faith. But when I came to England from India, where I was born, and I grew up till around the age of 10. So when I came to England, in one sense, I started to, walk away from the faith, especially after going to school and learning science and things like that. Started to doubt a lot of different aspects of the faith. So at that point, I didn't want to be a priest, or I just wanted to do my own thing. Be good, do good in life, and be rich and things like that, really. And it was, I think, when I was 14 or 15, I attended a youth retreat, and it was there that I experienced God's love in the Blessed Sacrament, and I felt like He was speaking to me, and that's when I realized the depth of what He did for me on that cross. So after that, I went to confession in a long time, and I just poured out everything, and it was a long confession for me. And when I got back from the confession, that's when I realized I need to do something more. God is asking me to do something, give myself to Him in some way. I didn't know whether it was priesthood at that time, but that's when I started to really read the scriptures, started to read the New Testament. Even though I didn't understand much of it, I was praying with it. I felt like the Lord was speaking to me. And one day I came to this passage of Jesus walking on water. And that was inspiration for me, because at that point I wasn't feeling, it's the passage Jesus walking to Peter, and Peter sink, and the Lord grabbing him out of water. So that was how I felt like the Lord was lifting me up, because I was in a good place. And then I started to speak to certain priests to talk about religious life. And then in the end, I went to Father Mark to learn what the priests do. I still didn't have a clue what being a priest was all about at that time. And then Father Mark told me to go away and just pray about it. And then somehow I came to apply for the priesthood, really. It just all kind of happened, I suppose. And now here I am 6 years later in seminary. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. They are all such beautiful stories. As in not like true stories, like journeys. It was a really privilege to hear them.
Yeah.
And also drawing on what Deacon Liam said about how he kind of thought priests were born priests, it made me remember something like from when I was younger. I used to watch these Tinkerbell movies, and fairies are just kind of born out of flowers, and I thought the same was with priests, that they were just kind of born out of flowers. I thought that was your party trick. Anyways, that's not true, but I'm intrigued at what your party trick is. Yeah, so if we quick fire on party tricks. G3?
I don't think I have a party trick.
You must have a party trick.
Somewhere down there.
Cover it. Oh gosh.
You can recite the entire New Testament in Greek.
I wish. I'd love to do that, but no.
Well, you can do maths.
Yeah.
So if that's nothing else, you know, that is definitely a party trick.
I used to be able to draw when I used to enjoy drawing, I suppose, sketches and things like that, but I haven't done it for a long while. So yeah, maybe that could be one, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. Your drawing ability probably was much higher than mine. I'm kind of limited to stick men and trees. That's my scope.
I said I enjoy it. I'm not good at it. But
oh no, I bet you are. I bet you are.
I'm not good at
what about you, Ollie?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure actually. It sounds quite bad, but I've been told I've got quite a good evil laugh, so I don't do it too often. Apparently, it actually scares people.
That's a true evil laugh, and that is definitely the coolest party trick.
Like, can we
Very
hear it?
unexpected. Yeah.
Can we hear it?
Yeah, yeah. Every time I used to walk past my year 6 class, they'd always tell me to do the laugh, do the laugh. So I'll do that.
That's good. That's good. Okay, I like it.
That's really good.
That's really good.
It's in practice.
Wow. I really love it. Well, can you top that, Deacon Liam?
I fear I can't. Yeah, party trick. I don't think I've really got one. It would probably be something like I'd do a poem, or
oh, nice.
Or maybe end up doing the washing up.
These are excellent party tricks, Liam. Yeah, so Deacon Liam, you're definitely, well, actually, all of you are invited to a party when we're allowed one. You know, we're definitely having those parties. So
pandemic.
Yeah.
So everyone now probably watching this are some of our incredible young people who are on their own journeys of faith. And I suppose one of the questions that's quite interesting is that, you know, on the journey of faith, things aren't always easy. There are things that are difficult, maybe we struggle with, you know, on some level. So I suppose the question I'm asking is, are there aspects of the faith that are difficult? And, you know, are there aspects of the faith which kind of give you that that kind of strength, that joy? So are there parts of the faith that you find easy, and are there parts of the faith that you find difficult? So maybe one of each. So perhaps if we start with Jithu again, if we start with you. Only because I could see you beginning to relax. I thought, no, this is Grill the Seminarian. You can't be relaxed. So.
I don't know. I find a lot more things more difficult than easy, to be fair. So I'll start with difficult. So when I was younger, the particular part of the faith that I struggled with was the role of our mother. So our Heavenly Mother, Mary, her role in our life. So I always thought, can I just always pray to Jesus, to the Lord? Why do I need to go to Our Lady? So I struggled with that up until, hello? I struggled with that up until I went to Lourdes when I was a teenager, and I really felt moved by her presence there. It was really peaceful, and yeah, and that's when I started to really study about Our Lady a bit more, and how important she was to our Lord, and how he was respectful to her, and hence we should also be respecting her. And and her mediation is also important, as we see also in the passage which talks about the miracle at Cana. She was one of the intercessor there. So that's one of the things that I found difficult, and there are a lot more. I assure you that. Easy, easy part of the faith. God.
Or perhaps something that gives you strength as part of the faith.
My strength.
Yeah.
I could have a lot of weaknesses.
I was like,
Strength. Oh gosh, that's difficult. Yeah, I can't think of one at the moment.
Maybe we'll come back to you.
Maybe I could come back to
you. We'll give you a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ollie, same question. Say, is there one thing that maybe is difficult about the faith, and if there's one thing that's kind of easy or / kind of gives you that strength to help you on your journey of faith?
Yeah, I'd probably say really as basic as it sounds. One thing that I had struggled with in the past was just the idea of hell. So obviously, how do we square infinite mercy with infinite justice? But I guess, yeah, at the end of the day, we've got to be free to choose. So either to choose God or to reject God. So so that's one that I did struggle with. But and in terms of strength, I mean, all I can say is from as far as I can remember, I could definitely say that if you do put your trust in God, if you do seek Him, if you do trust your instincts, then He will constantly be there for you, and He will constantly guide you through circumstances, through peoples. And I can honestly say, hand on heart, that yeah, if you do just stick with Him, He does live up to what He claims to be. So, yeah.
Thanks, Ollie. And Deacon Liam.
Yeah, I think the sort of aspect that I sometimes find difficult, and it's kind of connected into what Ollie just said, is the idea of suffering and of evil. Yeah, and I think that's quite, at the moment with the pandemic and the coronavirus, but also like since I've been at seminary, I've had family who've passed away, and it kind of, yeah, it does challenge you to think, why are these things happening? But then I find a lot of strength through going to adoration, spending time with God, and just asking these questions to God, who is there. Yeah, and you get comfort, and you can think, well, okay, maybe we can't know why these things are happening, but God's, He knows so much more than I can ever know. That's basically what it says in the book of Job. So I think that's something that, yeah, I struggle with from time to time, but I know that things have a way of working themselves out. And then, of course, I can always pray for those family members, those people who've been victims and are suffering, and know that they are also praying for me, which is a great comfort.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, they're all really cool answers, and a really good reminder that as a seminarian or priest, you don't have to just not struggle with anything to kind of fulfill your role. Like, everyone is human in the end. So yeah, that was really good. I feel like I was given all the light questions. So what is your dream holiday destination, Ollie?
That's a serious question, Hannah.
Oh, sorry.
Dream holiday.
Dream holiday.
I'm gonna, for now, I'll say either Seoul or Tokyo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, proper nice food.
Good job. What about Jithy?
I think I'd like to go to the Caribbean because I've never been there, never been to that part of the world, to the Americas or anywhere around that region. So, yeah, I'd like to explore.
Great.
Hey, you can tell me, man, come with me. I've got family in Trinidad.
Oh, right. Perhaps I could even transfer that.
We'll sort it.
Ollie, if they need a chaplain, just let me know. I'm happy to go. Priest is about sacrifice, yeah? So that to Trinidad, I'll go,
What about you, Deacon Liam?
I've always wanted to go to Brazil or Argentina.
Oh, nice.
So I'll say there, yeah.
That's good, huh? Dream holiday. Anywhere but COVID regulations, I think, would be a great holiday at this point. So
Oh yeah.
Now, guys, so what was that?
Even Milton Keynes? For someone who doesn't live in Milton Keynes?
Milton Keynes is amazing. You're very welcome. Once regulations are down, because obviously don't travel now, but you're very welcome. We have lots to show you. Yep, it is equatable to Seoul or the Caribbean or any of those places. Easily.
I've actually been really wanting to go to the Chinese supermarket there, but I'm probably not really allowed to, so I've got to put up with the tofu that's in Tesco.
You wait. Once you are, your world will be massively transformed.
Well, being in Milton Keynes.
Oh yeah, easy.
After all, it is the centre of our diocese, so...
It is the bastion of all civilization within the Diocese of Northampton. That's what I've been told. So, and it's thanks. Now, I am conscious that Hannah has said that she has seemed to have got all the right questions. Although I think questions such as holiday destinations are quite important questions. However,
that's right.
However, Hannah, I was wondering if for our last question, you would want to ask that last question before we finish our session this afternoon. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
So do you want to ask that last question? Only because I think it would be a good question, and actually from you makes more sense. So.
So the last question is, drum roll. If you could give yourself one piece of advice, thank you. If you could give one piece of advice to yourself as a young person, what would it be? Ollie.
Right. So if I'm speaking to my past self, I'd say work hard, play hard, live in the moment, and ease off the takeaways.
It's beautifully, very profound.
That is gonna go down in history. I will put that in my notes after this.
Oh wow.
What about you, Jithy?
If I speak to myself a few years earlier, I would have said just to be happy and be who I am, be myself, and to ask the Lord what He wants me to do, I suppose. And now we are blessed, even in these difficult times. There's blessings, and I think one of those things is that we could pause for a moment and, from the busy life that we were leading before, I suppose, and just to take some moment to be with the Lord, I think. So I think that's a blessing, really. So, yeah.
And you, Deacon. Oh, sorry.
I think I'd say look after yourself and don't worry so much.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That is something we all need to hear.
Yeah, good. I'm literally writing this stuff down. I'm like, yes, this is really good stuff. I put don't use takeaways, basically. Be yourself, and then don't worry. I mean, these are great things, and I think especially now in our own context, I think these are great things to take on board. Like, don't worry, trust always in God, and to be happy. God created us be us, not to be a carbon copy of someone else, but to be us, and to journey towards sainthood. So yeah, thanks for that. I'm literally going to have that as a t-shirt, all of those statements. Just wear them. Like wear them on alternative
It'll be next year's Lux motto. Instead of having like one word for Lux, it's going to be all of those things together.
Yeah,
it's going to be a mouthful, but it's worth it.
It's going to be so intense. Like that Instagram promo is going to be so long. Well, I don't know, Hannah, just on behalf of like ourselves, really, I just want to thank our incredible 3 guys for joining us this afternoon. I know you're extremely busy studying and working hard. And then, Jithio, I don't know why you're laughing. You are supposed to be studying hard. So, that was a serious conclusion. You know what I mean? So like, you have to get back to your work now, okay? So, but yeah, a massive thank you to you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
very welcome. Very welcome.
I think, Hannah, like I don't know about you, but like I suppose just reminders that priests aren't born; they're not born from flowers, as Hannah might have thought perhaps in the past, but they actually come from different walks of life. They have their strengths, their talents, but also we have our weaknesses and our struggles. But God calls us as we are to serve Him as His priest. And I think really I just want to encourage any young guy out there just to consider that vocation to priesthood, to recognize that, if you think you're unworthy or not holy enough, or it's going to be difficult, please do not worry about any of those things, because God will give you that strength, that grace, that valor to help you, pursue that vocation. And I think the one word that I would describe priesthood is joyful. It's great. Like there's a fraternity. It's great catching up with Ollie, Deacon Liam, and Jithu, as well as my other brother priests. It's a great joy for that. So a massive thank you. I'm conscious I'm taking up your time now, probably now for study, Jithu. Thank you very much. Just to encourage everyone who might be watching this at home to pray for Deacon Liam, especially as he approaches ordination, to serve God as his priest for us in the Diocese of Northampton. Pray also for Jithu and for Ollie as well. And also pray for vocations. And as I said, if you are a young guy, pray and ask if God is calling you to priesthood. Like God knows we need good, holy, regular guys who will respond to that extraordinary call to serve him as priests. So guys, thank you so much again. And thank you very much for tuning in at home. And Hannah, thank you so much for being an incredible interviewer. Thank you so much for being our Seminarians.
Brendan.
You're very welcome.
This has been very inspiring. As a young person, I can say it's been very, very inspiring. Fantastic. So yeah, thank you
so much. Well, bye everyone.
And bye-bye, Father. Nice to see you.